I got Gunz. I got Gunz.
Yo, so this is the last part of the Gunz tutorial series. If you haven't seen the first two parts, I go through the drums and the synths and everything, every single track in this song. And finally, here's the mastering. It's going to be a short one, so here we go. So I want to start this with a short disclaimer. I don't necessarily recommend the method that I do things. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. Like I said before, my theory is to mix with your ears and not your eyes. I just know how to make stuff sound right. I don't know if the methodology I'm doing is 100% correct, but when I mix and when I produce, I have my mastering chain on. Now, here's my mastering chain. I'm going to go through everything individually, and I have that turned on while I'm producing. That's something that I learned listening and reading some interviews with a couple artists. I'm not sure if he still does it, but Zed does it this way, or he used to. But it works for me because that's how stuff sounds. It sounds loud while I'm producing, and it's not going to change in the mastering process. It's kind of unorthodox. Anyone who properly masters or mixes, who's a mix engineer, will probably frown upon this, but this is the way I do it. I told you guys I'd show you everything that I do, so let's get started. So here's how the track sounds like without any of my mastering plugins on. It's super quiet, and you'll see that a lot of my synths, like let's see, this lead one, is at -17. So it's pretty loud. My mastering adds a lot of compression to it. And here's with the mastering on. Turn it on real quick. So yeah, it's pretty drastic. Now I'm just going to go through this. I don't really know the best way. I'm just going to show you how I make stuff sound and kind of explain my thinking behind it. The first thing is just a filter. That's just for, let me see where I have it automated. Here we go. Yeah, I just have it, it's just a high pass filter, so for this part right here. So obviously I'm going to put that before, when I have the mastering chain on, there's a lot of static because some of the hardware modeling plugins automatically give you that kind of hum and that white noise. And then the mastering is compressing it, so you're going to see me keep turning the mastering chain off so I don't get all that buzz. But anyway, the auto filter, obviously I'm putting that before everything because that can add volume to stuff and make it peak if you don't want to put it obviously after your chain. So yeah, that's just going before, and that's just for some effects. Then we have Ozone. Yeah, I'm using Ozone 4. Actually, I'm just going to turn all this off. I'll turn them on one by one. Using Ozone 4. I have Ozone 5, but I'm just used to Ozone 4. And there's not a whole lot of complex stuff that I do with it. So, just the EQ, just give it a little boost on the side here. So, making that more stereo. And then this is the mid, and just boosting the bass a little bit. Nothing too crazy there. Multiband dynamics. So basically what this does is it splits different frequencies, and you can boost them or turn them down as you see fit, and compress them as well. I'm not going to use a whole lot of technical terms because I don't honestly understand. I just know how to make it sound. I can't stress that enough. But yeah, this is really helpful. So I guess you can just take a look and pause if you want to. And then I'd use the stereo imaging. This is huge. As you can see, I have it, the first band, these are the low frequencies, making them more towards the center. And then it gets more and more, the stereo image gets spread as it gets higher. That's typically what you want to go for, is keep the bass in the middle and then keep your highs really spread out, and that's what will give the track a big sound. So that's Ozone. This is really the heart and soul of everything, is the multi-band dynamics. And basically what got me started using this was Vinakava and I, we would exchange mastering techniques with each other, and he was really heavy on the multi-band dynamics. And we sent each other a couple different things, and this is just what I've built off of, and just experimented with it on a bunch of different tracks. And I save all of this as a mastering chain, and it's the first thing that I put on my track when I start a new song. So this is just something that I've adjusted over time, and I'll let you see how much it does when I put the multi-band dynamics onto the track. So now I don't really know. I mean, this is like, okay, obviously this is just like the multi-band compression in the multi-band dynamics in Ozone, right? So it splits up your bands, and you can adjust. This is going to compress all the highs above. I have it set to 4K, and then your lows, everything below 127, and the mids, obviously everything in between. So I've just messed with this and drag these things around, and then you can adjust the compression. You see that's doing over here, but I don't really know everything that it's doing. It's a crazy complex plugin. If you just kind of understand, okay, here's your highs, and you could solo them, which I do a lot while I'm mixing, or your mids. And then adjust the output, and I keep the amount around like 74%. You don't want that at 100%. But yeah, just mess with these things, and that's what I got. So the next thing is PSP Vintage Warmer. Yeah, Vintage Warmer. And this is basically like, I use these two PSP plugins, the Vintage Warmer and the Mix Saturator, but it's kind of like salt and pepper. You don't really need those. All the beef is coming from the multi-band dynamics. You could really simplify this by just putting the multi-band dynamics and then a limiter after it. These are just kind of adding, some warmth to the track. It's not doing a whole lot. So yeah, Mix Saturator and Vintage Warmer. And then the thing that is huge in making my stuff super loud is this BBE loudness maximizer, the L82. I freaking love these BBE plugins. They're great. I'll let you see how much louder this thing makes the track. LA2 is what I use as my limiter. Just doing the basic function of a limiter. It's just really good at it. if you don't have the L82 and you can't buy it, the other option is just using a basic limiter. I mean, if you have Ableton, if you have anything, you have a basic limiter, and that'll do the same thing, just not as efficiently. Or, I mean, I'm sure you could tweak it if you're really good, but I'm better just using the loudness maximizer. But I'll show you the difference. I'll go between the loudness maximizer and just the limiter. So here's the limiter. Here's a loudness maximizer. And pretty much there you have it. That's how I do my mastering, and you can pretty much copy that if you want, and it'll make your tracks sound a lot better if you're struggling with mastering. One thing to note is what I do, like I said, I mix with my mastering chain on, I produce with my mastering chain on, but you want to, while you're working, is continually take it off and just to see how your mix sounds without it, to make sure there's not something that's super, super loud in the mix. And that can sometimes, for example, if your kick is extremely loud, it'll limit the rest of your mix and bring everything else down when the kick hits. And you won't notice it. It won't be super obvious when you have your mastering chain on. So you just want to continuously just keep an eye on stuff and make sure everything's in check. And while you're mixing, just take it on and off. Please subscribe if this helped you guys out. Like I said, super unorthodox, but that's just the way I do it. So subscribe, check me out on Twitter and SoundCloud, and have a good one. Peace.